guys, so I am sharing with you ways in which I've been helping to recover my neck and continue to do so. So these exercises I'm going to throw in are exercises that first alleviate tension and mobilize the areas such as the levator scap, the lumbar, the thoracic, the pectorals. Now there are different neck conditions, so this one is looking a little bit at nerve pain and also thoracic area as well, which contributes to neck pain. But there is arthritis, there is bulging discs, and so on and so forth. So there are other exercises also that may work for you. So you need to listen to your body. So again, I'm going to work here with the rhomboids. I'm going to work with the Lovato Scapula area, the Pectoral Muscle, and also the thoracic area, and probably the extensor muscles of the spine. In the cervical area. These are going to be the areas of release that we're working in, and you would start with this to be able to get some release and aches and pains lessening in the neck area. So this would be phase one, and do this 3 to 4 times a week. The exercises you could do for around a minute or so, up to 2 minutes, depending on how you like, and 2 to 3 times. So firstly, we're going to have a few tools. So I've got a peanut, a roller, a block, and a little ball. So the first one you can also do against the wall, but just for video purposes and sharing with you, I'm going to do it here lying on the mat. So it's the pectoral muscle, and you're going to place it just in between the connecting points of where the glenohumeral joint goes in and the pectoral here. And you'll be moving around a little bit through here, so that's okay. Now your first point is taking it behind your back, your arm, and the second point maybe you're moving your arm overhead. It can get a little bit easier on the wall on a door frame, so this is a little bit awkward going through, but I wanted to show you it from this level because I'm filming. So my arm comes behind, I'm putting the ball here on that sticky spot, my head is in neutral position, and then I'm pulling around and moving around and releasing any tension. Now the reason this is a little difficult because you're going to have to lift your body up a little bit to manipulate and move around. Now you could do that for around 30 seconds, and any bits that are really like, oh that's intense, stay there until it releases off. And then you can bring your arm here overhead and you can do the same thing, and you're going to get a different feeling. Now if you're struggling and you want to do it on the ground rather than a wall, another way to bring it just a little bit more intensity into it here is to place a block underneath. That just gives you a little bit of height here, so this makes it easier, and you can come up here into this position. And you're moving around, you can also move your arm down a little bit, and you're just finding that sticky spot, okay? And again, your arm can come behind and you're finding that sticky spot. And you're staying in, and you're going to do both sides as you go through here, okay? So both sides need to be released at all times. And as you do it, you're going to also find that this tightness goes up into your neck. So it's very important that we are loosening up our pectoral muscles, which often close down due to sitting like this all day. If you're a swimmer, if you're throwing the ball, all of these things, handstands, doing bodybuilding, they all come into it, riding your bike. So pectoral muscles are one of those things that are often extremely tight. From there, we're going to go into the extensor muscles of the neck. So you're going to come on down, and you're going to change over here to this peanut, or 2 balls together. Now when you place it in, it's going to go from this part here of your neck down to just before the rotational point. Here is the atlas and ulna, so it's rolling and moving through this part. It's a tiny bit challenging sometimes to get in, and you can use your support of your hand as you come down. So you're finding that spot here, and you need to make sure you stay on the block, and you're going to press into it here, and then you're going to roll up and down. Now if this is too uncomfortable, then you may not be ready to do this, so you have to make sure that you are comfortable to do this, okay? Make sure you're not going to roll off the block as well, and make sure you're going from the lower and the upper part. So it's only a small movement, and you can lift your bottom off to make a little bit more pressure. And if you actually work with a physio, they'll actually press into your neck as well, similar to what this is doing in their different capacity, to start to manipulate your neck and where the pain is. So this is a good way to do it on your own, as long as you're doing it safely. Remember, if you have a sticky spot, you're just going to stay there, and then you might come back up towards the head. You can bring your chin down a little bit towards a double chin. That also assists this process, so you don't want to raise your head as well. Okay? Again, you're looking at 1 to 2 minutes on this to release off any tension. Remember, if it's too intense, then you have to look at doing things that are not going to irritate your neck, all right? So after that, I'm just going to move those to the side, and I'm going to come into doing some mobilization of the thoracic. Firstly, we're just going to do a small sit-up. And this small sit-up is helping to get that mobility back into the spine. So you're going to have this just under your shoulder blade area. Your arms are going to come back here, okay? And from here, you can, if you wanted to make it more difficult, you can increase your hips a little bit off the ground. If not, keep it here. Your hands come on your shoulders. You're opening up your shoulder blades by bringing your elbows together. And you're coming down, over, and up. And you may do 10 to 15 repetitions here. Over and up. Keep the pelvis slightly tucked, ribs flaring not too heavily. Now, with this foam roller, I have the black foam roller. So the black foam roller is a little more intense, so particularly with these knots and bolts on the foam roller. So if you're finding that, maybe move to a blue or a softer one. Now again, if you want to intensify it, you can lift your hips up and curl towards it, and then bring your hips back down, open up. So small little crunches on here, okay? Now we're gonna go back to this ball, and this ball gets a little bit uncomfortable for the last 2 exercises. Your Lovato Scapula is here in the mobilization, so it's just on the top corner of your shoulder blade, and you're going to lie down on it. And at first you may want to just lie there and find some discomfort and wriggle around, and then from there you can use your arm movement to create a little bit more release and or tension. So you're placing your hands here. From here, I'm already feeling that. I lift my bottom often just to get a little bit more intensity, and I'm rolling around. Now I can just stay here, and I'm already feeling it, and I might just stay here and say, okay, this is where I'm going to release off for 10 seconds, then I find another spot and stay here. And then from there, once I've found that there's a little bit more comfort, if you could say that, you can start to bring your arm up and you go, oh, okay, here's a really intense spot. I'm just going to stay here. For some of you may also feel the tension shooting up into your neck as well. Remember, we don't want it too intense. You're increasing the mobility, but you're not making it more intense. But there will be some sort of pressure, and there should be a good difference between injury pressure and pressure that's actually relieving it and discomfort. And you're doing that movement. You could also look at a little bit of internal, external rotation of the arm. So again, I am here up in the top corner of the shoulder blade. I'm placing it here, and from here I'm just rolling around, finding that release. And you could notice how it may come out, and that's okay. So you just have to pop it back in, and then you're finding that release. One arm will definitely feel different, and then the arm is coming up overhead, and you're feeling where you need to release here. Just breathing around, okay? Rolling around and moving your arm into different positions as you go through. Now lastly, I'm going to place it on the rhomboid, so between the shoulder blade and the spine up in here, and you're going to come and lie down. You have to probably roll into it a little bit. I like to bring my arm across my body here, and as I bring my arm across and lift my bottom, I can really feel that tension. And you can also do some movements by bringing it across, opening up and getting in under the shoulder blade, and you're moving around into that area, and you can bring your arm back, and you may feel like I feel more tension when I bring it back here for a second. I might do a few arm movements here. You may even want to do some swimmers. Okay, this is also very, very intense, but can do some great releasing into the rhomboid area that we are releasing, and just moving through that area. Again, if you find a sticky point, you're like, oh my gosh, and it's palatable that you can maintain it, stay there for a bit, and then move through the movement, okay? So really figure out what areas need the release and just allow that motion, okay? And what you find is also, as you stay on that for a moment and release off, and I'll just come to the side to do it. At first it'll be super, super intense and you may not feel like it, but then afterwards the mobility came. So I don't know if you could see on my first arm, and you can probably see it here, my elbow is not touching the ground right now because there's a lot of tightness that's actually coming through into my forearm as well. So I'm going to do a few movements, okay? And I'm finding sticky spots like here, and I'm staying here. As I stay here, I'm breathing, releasing. Again, it's not overly so bad that I can't stay there, but it is certainly discomfort. And I'm holding there, releasing off, letting the mind relax, know it's safe. And then now you can see my elbow is touching the ground, the mobility is coming into the movement. Now, you may not have that range of mobility, but you will find a change in it, okay? And you can bring your arm across like this, lower and higher, finding into those spots, and you can rotate your arm. So this is the first part of working into neck, is releasing that tension. Between 22 to 70% of people at some point in their life are going to have neck issues. And neck issues stem from multiple reasons, whether you're injuring yourself, you've got arthritis, or suddenly something happens, a bulging disc, any of those numerous reasons. Now the thing is to understand, within 4 to 6 weeks of doing rehab and a rehabilitation exercise like this, most people can get back to a very functional level. But if you ignore it, most people will have lingering pain after a year of not doing anything or consistently not doing anything. So firstly, we need to mobilize us in the first phase, and that's to release off any tension and muscles that are pulling in and around the neck area and other areas that may cause it. And then from there, what we want to do is the next phase is more strengthening work. They can look into isometric strengthening, whereby you're starting to put tension onto those areas to build up resistance and abilities to do things, and also stretching the areas around the shoulder blade, for example, to be able to release more tension again that can reside then go into the neck. And then after that, you're looking at doing strength and conditioning exercises to again build more resilience to those areas and working functionally through strength and a full range of motion. So that's the way these 3 parts work, and I'll bring you the next part next. I hope you enjoy, and thank you for joining me. This is all about aging well and doing exercises to maintain your aging, but also for prehab, rehab, and all of those things encompassing, because we want a lifespan of movement and we want a lifelong healthy body, and that is possible when we learn to take care of it. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.